Welcome to the Bible Unbound podcast, the book of Revelation, the dove, the raven, and the revolution.
That things are transitional, things are changing. There's a real movement at hand from one stage to another. That's the word ginomai in the Greek. It's where we get the word beginnings or genetics or the origins. And that's kind of what we're dealing with. We're dealing with a kind of a rebirth of the human story. And I want to utilize an illustration that I've used many times before, but there's a number of new folks, so you're not aware of this illustration. And for those who are aware of this illustration, it's like I want to underscore, because after 2,000 years of history, we've all kind of lost the perspective of how revolutionary the coming of Christ was, the incarnation of Christ was. And so the illustration that I want to use, again, just that table. Just imagine that table right there, and we brought a globe in. I just set it right on the table. Globe that you could spin and look. And you see kind of a etching or outline of nations. But we went and painted that globe completely black. We took a can of black spray paint. We painted the entire globe. And it was entirely black. Now you can still kind of see the outlines of nations, but everything would be under this kind of canopy of black. Now, question. If we wanted to represent God's truth to a nation, and we wanted to represent that as a pinprick of light, one light, on that entire black globe, what nation would that have been? Where would that one light have come from? Israel. See, okay, you guys remember. Awesome. So true. That was it. Now, how many other lights were there? No, there might have been a Rahab here and there, or a Ruth the Moabitess here and there, from other nations, but no other nations. All other nations were under the power of darkness. So let me ask you guys a question. Why is it that a raven, this is a bird, he's just as black as that globe. Why is it that he, the raven, is represented in iconography and ancient sketchings? There are two primary or preeminent symbols. One is the raven, and the other one is a serpent. Why is it that you can go to ancient or pre-ancient Peru and you can find etchings, engravings, and you can go to Mesopotamia and see the same things? Exactly. Prehistoric. And they're all representing these two kind of beings, the raven and the serpent. How can that be? Why is that the case? 8,000 miles separated by oceans, and you got a raven.
As well as
megaliths. We're actually going to touch on that in a bit, because that is relevant. And so what we're trying to get at, we're trying to regain the feel of this incredible revolution that occurred when the lights began to come on. To kind of get our minds around how revolutionary it was, think of the early portions of Genesis chapter 1. Now, if you know your Bibles at all, you know that the early chapters of Genesis, especially Genesis 1 through 11, it's the foundation for everything else in the Bible. Everything else in the Bible is somehow represented, and everything that is represented in Genesis 1 through 11 finds its fruition elsewhere in the Bible. So this stuff none of it's accidental. None of it's a coincidence. There's meaning in everything that's stated, especially in the first 11 chapters of Genesis. What about verses 3 and 4? Remember what verses 3 and 4 symbolize, speak of? Yes, let there be light. And God separated the light from the darkness. That was day one.
Well, thank you for joining us for part one of The Dove, the Raven, and the Revolution on the Bible Unbound podcast. We'll see you next time.